And now, on with the show.
Welcome, one and all, to our Season 3 premiere of Film Fracas. I am one of your hosts today, Carter Spilliards. To my left, I have my fabulous co-host, Brett The Rock Johnson.
Happy to be here.
And to my right, our only other co-host, Season 3, only 3 hosts, you know, that's how we roll it. The great, the awesome, the whole effing show, Robbie DeShazer.
What up, what up, what up?
Happy to be here. Main man.
I'm trying something different.
No, you're just being
Wow, you already derailed this whole thing,
being
Brett.
confused.
Wow.
It's my turn to be the derailing. I'm doing a heel turn. I'm the heel of the season now.
The wild card is now Brett.
There's only 3 of us.
I'm going to be the one that ruins and drives this thing into the ground.
Next season, Brett won't even be here. It'll just be Robbie and I yelling at each other back and forth.
Not even talking about movies.
No, just screaming at each other over.
So every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
So we've gotten a brand new season of Film Fracas.
A brand new season. It's exciting. We've been doing a lot of bonus episodes before, and
Yeah.
now we're off that train and
onto a totally different train.
onto an entirely different one. It's fantastic. I'm quite looking forward to it.
We have some great films for you guys
yes.
this season.
We do.
So many good movies.
So many good movies.
Only 6 of them, making this our shortest season to
This
date.
will be our shortest season. This is a bit of an interim season. We'll have our new co-host joining around
Next season.
next season. Should be somewhere around
Late August.
Late
Late
August.
August, early September.
Early September.
Depending on how many bonus episodes we do between seasons this time.
Oh, boy.
Yes, hopefully not too many.
Not too many. Or hopefully they'll be more streamlined.
But I'm excited.
I'm very, very
We'll be excited to unveil that new co-host soon.
Very, very soon. If you follow us on Twitter or YouTube, you already know our 6 films for this season because we've been posting them there.
Put out our new...
But to give you a refresher,
Yes.
Brett, what movies are we doing this time?
We got Bull Durham. We got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. We got Jurassic Park. We got Kill Bill Volume 1. We got Akira. And we got LA Confidential. It's going to be a wild ride, so strap yourselves in, because here we go. Carter, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we are talking about... we're going with something a little different, something new. We're going to talk about Best Fight.
All of these movies have fights.
All of these movies have fights in them.
One way
Multiple.
or another.
Yes, and I'm excited to get into this. This is something a little different.
It is.
It's a little more fun.
We get
So,
more of a chance for us to probably to fracas. It is a fracas.
More fracas.
Get ready
More
to rumble.
fracas. I'm going to say right off the bat, these are definitely perhaps our most eclectic group of movies.
Yes, eclectic, but all very this is the first time that I haven't come out of watching all of them and been like, yeah, there's one I'm not so hot on.
No, I love all of them.
So I'm very excited. This is going to be a hard season.
It's going to be a hard season.
Yeah, overall, I don't dislike any of them, but I will say that I'm not a big a fan of Kill Bill, as it seems like everybody else in the world I've talked to is. But it's like, again, that's not to say that it's bad. Like, I still enjoy it. It's got super solid action scenes and fights and everything.
We'll definitely be able to talk about it. Especially the first one.
Yes.
Kill Bill has a lot of fights in the first one and story in the second one.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's a lot
But
to
we're
talk
not
about.
talking about story today.
No, we are not.
Talking
Which
about
is why-
fights, which is pretty much the entire first movie.
We chose not to cop out and do the whole bloody affair
Yeah.
for that. We decided you'd go with
We'll go with
one
together.
theatrically released movie.
The affair was theatrically released.
Kind of.
I don't know.
Something like
as far as I'm concerned,
Or it was like a traveling roadshow. I don't remember.
as far as I'm concerned, they're 2 separate movies.
Yes.
Since they are released as 2 separate movies most of the time.
That's true.
Yes. So, Carter,
All right.
let's get it started.
All right.
Let's just start with Kill Bill since we were talking
let's
about
start
it.
with Kill Bill. We're talking about it.
We're talking about it.
Let's decide what fight we want to hone in on from this
So-
movie. There are a number of good fights.
Yes. I would say, to start off with my top 3 of the movie, I mean, you've got the first fight at the beginning with Copperhead.
Copperhead, yeah.
And then you have, I would say, my next favorite would be the fight with Gogo Yubari, who is Oren Ishii's personal bodyguard, otherwise known as a 17-year-old schoolgirl who wields a mace. And then the Crazy 88 is, I think, probably the most iconic from this movie, as well as, my favorite.
Yeah.
Personal favorite.
I was going to say Crazy 88 is also my favorite fight from the film, though I do also love the one at the beginning.
There's some good qualities about both of those.
Yeah, I like the one-on-one at the very end with Lucy Liu.
It's very beautiful compared
it's much more cinematic, much more kind of samurai film, because it happens very quick. And so I like that one a lot. But the Crazy 88's definitely the...
Like I said, this film is almost nothing but
I was going to say,
fights.
this movie's pretty much entirely just fight sequence after one after another.
Okay, yeah, so a quick disclaimer for you folks at home. I haven't seen Kill Bill Volume 1, or Volume 2 for that matter, since my freshman year of college, so that's about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, so I don't quite remember the Gogo Yubari Crazy 88. I remember the Lucy Liu fight, because it happens so quick, and I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, it's over. Even though it's we've been building up to this the whole...
Crazy 88's the one where she kills, and it turns black and white, and
and then there's the little boy, and she spanks him. She's like, "Don't fight for the yakuza," or something like that. Yeah. But
go home to your mother.
Go home to your mother.
But I do like that opening fight because I'm a big fan of the more close quarters one-on-one fights rather than the big group fights. Just in general, watching. I'd like to think I've seen a good number of kung fu films, but it's probably just because I just saw it, but the whole animated sequence about Lucy Liu's backstory, I totally forgot there was a whole fight sequence in there. I was like, oh wow, this is actually I actually think that's probably one of what I remember. That's probably one of my favorite fight scenes in that movie because that's just so well done.
It is. I love the boardroom.
Yes, that's not. I don't think
it's not really a fight.
That's a straight up murder right there.
But it is funny.
So,
I don't remember the scene. Sorry, guys.
She's talking to him in the boardroom,
and
she's walking back and forth across the table, and then she runs up and cuts the guy's head off.
Okay, that sounds vaguely familiar. Anyway, but let's get into it here.
All right. So what do we think we want to go with?
I think it's got to be Crazy 88. I think it's
kind of
the most batshit out there.
Yeah, that's definitely the most iconic fight from this movie.
So, Brett, you can state your case for why you think...
I just don't remember it that well.
That's fair. That's fair.
Or, what we could do? We could pause the podcast right now. I could go watch it, and I could come back and talk about it. Since the movie's queued up right over there, we can do that.
That's very true.
Just skip to the scene. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right,
break. Wow, what a break.
Okay, yeah, we're back.
Welcome back.
Okay, yeah, saw it. Now I can talk about it.
Okay, awesome. Let's talk about this fight.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I think I like that fight at the very beginning between her and Copperhead more than this one. Just because, this one is good. It's solid, super solid. But I just feel like the editing in this one was just, really choppy. So it's just kind of shot of Uma Thurman, shot of a guy with no limb. Shot of Uma Thurman, just kind of bad, just that. And then that scene where she's spinning around on the floor with the two swords was very much just kind of there she is spinning. There's the guy with a leg. She's spinning, guy missing a leg. Just kind of okay, we're all over the place. Where that one at the beginning was very much kind of you saw them there doing their whole thing the whole time. So I feel like that one's a little bit stronger than this one, but we're not comparing it to other fight scenes in that movie.
It may be stronger in choreography or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Where I think that this excels, it's funny that you bring up the other fight, because as we all know, Quentin Tarantino likes to tell a non-linear story. So the way this story goes is all the stuff at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1 happens first, and then she goes and does the Copperhead fight, which I think makes zero sense to me that she doesn't bring the katana in with her, but...
but whatever.
But it's okay. She can throw a knife through.
Yep. I also kind of wish they would have kept the fight in color. While the black and white was nice, I think I would prefer to see everything just visually popping.
Well, it wasn't color. Had to. He originally had it in color, and then the MPAA said you can't do that. So he put it in black and white to.
I'm sorry, Quentin. My bad.
No, it's fine. Well, it's a good point though. Is does it lose something for doing that, or does it
I think it's just different. I don't know.
I think it just comes down to personal taste because the fight's exactly the same. It's just visually. Yeah. But
he does choose a good place to switch it into black and white, which is she plucks out the one guy's eye and then color vision
when she blinks too.
Yeah, it made sense. It works. I just think
and then the silhouette,
personally,
I like.
The silhouette thing.
The blue silhouette is cool.
I just wish that part was a little more choreographed rather than just. That's just me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's just like again. That's not to say any of this is bad.
No,
I'm
yeah.
just talking personal taste.
I thought it was quite well choreographed.
Oh, yeah, like-
because it was. This is definitely the most acrobatic section of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that.
Which takes a lot of training and
Yeah.
preparation.
There's just something so cool to me about, you start with the shot of the feet running, the one guy's feet running down the hallway, and he screams, and then suddenly there's,
All
88
these guys pop
This one's
up.
definitely the most of like the campy like ninja movies and
Like, more
samurai
like-
movies.
More like a samurai exploitation.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because
like
there's what makes me think of it is that shot of like when she throws the axe and it hits the guy in the head, and then the guy just
like
flies backwards.
dollies
backwards.
With an axe in his
With
forehead.
an axe in his forehead, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like this one's definitely the campiest.
Yeah, it takes the most from the
Like
films that's trying to
like the
imitate.
wire foo
Yeah.
kind of movies. Yeah. But yeah, like it works. I think the editing's a little choppy, so I think that kind of takes things away from it a little bit. But like I said, yeah, it's solid. It's not a bad fight scene.
No. So I was talking about, how it's weird because everything's out of order that she wouldn't take the katana. I do see the merit in doing it out of order in this film, in that it does put essentially her largest challenge at the end of the movie. It is, the final show of strength, because the end fight with her and Oren is beautiful and it's gorgeous, but like it's very much, I respect you. You defeated my army. Like,
Yeah.
you obviously want to, want this more than I have a will to live.
Yeah.
So I like that this fight does feel earned. It feels like the entire film's built to something, whereas it, after this and the Oren fight, she's still winning.
Yeah. Well, and there's something to be said for, because there's not necessarily anything that isn't, like they could have had it chronologically that she fights Copperhead at the beginning and then just goes and does everything else she does in the movie.
I agree. That
Like the placement of itself in the movie could have been the same, and they could have disregarded the chronological aspect.
That's true.
I think the movie itself wouldn't have been changed.
really that much of it.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting creative decision.
Yeah. But it doesn't really affect this fight.
No.
Rather than
No.
where its placement
Really
in the movie
doesn't.
does make everything feel earned. Is
I
what I'm saying.
quite enjoy this.
I honestly watch this movie as if it's happening in that order. Like she fights Copperhead first, and then she goes there.
Yeah.
But
The only
that's
reason it
neither-
ever starts to matter is if you're watching the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
But that's neither.
got to keep
here nor
everything
there.
straight. But it's not like she needs much else.
Yeah, this fight perhaps has the least emotional stakes, I think, in the movie of any of the fights she has.
I would agree.
So there's that to take into consideration, because some of the other fights in these other movies
There's
definitely
real-
have some stakes.
Yes.
This one isn't much more than
Let's have a really
cool
fight
fight.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it leads to the fight with Oren, which is her emotional payoff.
Yeah,
For sure.
And,
Yeah.
so there's that to consider. But do we want to move on?
Well, one note that
yeah.
Brett, you were talking about how you liked how close, like the close combat of the first fight scene compared. I do like that, because what could have happened was they all charge her at once, and it is kind of hack and slash, and it has some elements of that. But I do like that you get moments of the bride going across that little balcony thing with one guy, and then
You get some one-on-one.
you get a bunch of little
Yeah,
one-on-ones.
I really did like those one-on-one. Almost like the guy that only had the bald guy with the mask when she was coming at him, and he was the only real challenge she had. I really liked those moments. And then it was back to the big group kind of I keep saying choppy editing. I'm sorry, but then it felt more hack and slash in those moments. So
for sure.
But yeah, I think that's why I like the single combat ones better, because then you can actually really fine tune the choreography and such.
Yeah. And I will say there's something to be said for the music that's in that
Yeah.
scene. The Nobody But Me is a fantastic choice. I wouldn't have put into a fight scene, but it works for some reason.
I found it a little distracting, because then I was thinking about, oh, hey, remember that cold open from The Office where they do that dub challenge?
That's fair. But also that wasn't a thing when...
I know, but I found it a little distracting, but if you guys didn't, more power to you.
Well, that, and then there's the music that starts at the beginning as it pans up. The one guy with the bow staff.
Yeah.
It's just like a little bit of a bass line, just like boom, 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 you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No, I really liked it. That's one of the things Quentin Tarantino is always really good at is song choice.
Yeah. And it's one of those reasons I like Quentin Tarantino movies. I liked Baby Driver so much. I like the Guardians movies a lot. Because music choice means a lot to me when watching a movie, so...
And then you have movies like Suicide Squad that are like, oh, people like mixtape soundtracks. Let's try doing that, and then it's hot garbage.
Yep, it's got to be done right. That is a big part of it.
And anyway, speaking of hot garbage, Carter, what are we talking about next?
Oh, shoot. Let's go to... Well, let's do the other big fight movie, just to narrow it down a little bit. Let's go to Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
So many fights in Scott Pilgrim.
Where, you know,
versus the World.
the other movie that's all about someone fighting a whole other large group of people.
Yep.
What is the best fight here?
I can tell you what my least favorite fight in this movie is.
Which one's your least favorite?
The one against the twins.
Okay.
I think it's...
That's fair. I like how creative it is.
It's
like
interesting.
I like the whole, like, oh, it's an actual battle of the
Yeah.
bands. I like that, but
The concept is good, but...
It is the most, like, oh, this is just a lot of CGI,
Yeah.
like, big monsters fighting.
yeah, I like the idea and concept of it.
But I still like the fight. It's just my least favorite.
Yeah,
of all of them.
that's fair. I think I probably agree with you.
I don't know. The Chris Evans one isn't really a fight as much as it is.
A chase and a getaway.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a fight.
I mean, yeah, there is a fight in there, but I would...
He just kind of outsmarts it.
I'm just trying to narrow it down.
The fight against the first evil
The first one,
Matthew
is pretty
Patel.
good.
Matthew Patel. I love that because
Yeah,
it's
I
just
like
kind of
that
like,
one.
oh yeah, this is the world we inhabit where people can have these crazy fights. People just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, no,
so I really like that.
I was gonna say, I really like the first fight, and I like the last fight a lot.
I
I
also
like the one with the vegan. Where, like,
oh yeah, the base
Simon-
battle with
and then-
Brandon Routh.
with Brandon
I
Routh is
love
really good.
that.
But I love just how quickly, like, Scott runs at him. He just, like, holds up his hand and, like, lifts him in the air with his vegan
Your
powers.
eyes,
Explain to me
your
again.
hair.
Explain to me again how being vegan gives you superpowers.
You know, because people only use 10% of their brain power because the other 90% is filled with curds and whey, and being a vegan just makes you better than most people. Or something like that.
But no, I love his character is probably my favorite of the X's, but I don't know if his fight's my favorite. I like his defeat the most also.
Gelato isn't vegan.
Vegan?
Milk and eggs, bitch.
Chicken is vegan.
Every time. But
Because you'll be dust by Wednesday.
cleanly,
She comes on Wednesdays.
she
She
does.
dusts.
Oh wait, because tomorrow's Tuesday, and that means whatever. But yeah, the last fight's also very good.
Yeah.
But so yeah, which one do we want
What
to?
do we want to do?
Which one do we want to do?
The first fight? Or the
Let's talk about the first one.
Okay,
I think the first one's
Yeah.
probably the best.
I like it most because it, like you said, it establishes.
Robbie, you okay
Over.
over there? Yeah.
I just dropped my phone. It's
Oh.
okay.
It establishes how the fights kind of will be in this movie. Because going up to this point in the movie, it's definitely hyper stylized. Like this is like peak Edgar Wright, putting every little thing in there. And so yeah, very much. But then yeah, it just goes kind of batshit crazy when he like has all these magic and Scott's even like, wait, did you say mystical powers?
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of like, who is this guy? Yeah, was he dressed like a pirate? Are you a pirate? Yeah, are you a pirate?
It's like Pirates Inn.
And then like every time like Scott hits him, like dust just like flies off of his jacket. It's like, why is this guy so dusty? And it's just like it's a whole lot of little things like that in the entire fight. And it's just like,
And then when he beats him and he turns into all the
turns
coins,
into
and then
coins.
he's just like, ooh, coins.
this doesn't even have to ride the bus.
Remind me, is this the one that when Scott finally understands he has to fight, young Neil like throws him the base and like he is that the one? Or he throws young Neil the base or something like that? And finally gets into like the fight position and you get the first like blue fight screen or whatever.
I mean, you get the first blue fight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Matthew Patel comes flying in
Yeah.
through the roof.
Yeah,
And he's
takes
just like
off the
Scott Pilgrim, and he's like, what do I do? What do I do?
And then, he takes off the base and
he
throws
tosses
the
it
onion.
over, and he does the reversal.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, God, and how well it's just kind of like, because it is a movie based on, like, comic books and, like, also turned into a video game. I just love how, like, effortlessly it just does that, and like all the sound effects and everything, like it is just a comic book or video game, just comes to life.
Yeah.
And so I love that. How it even says like reversal and it has like the combo counter when Scott's up there just air juggling him, and it's like, oh, like, so
I like it. I like the whole. Didn't you get my email?
It's like,
I skimmed it.
Yeah. No, and it's.
And then they also just. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, I was gonna say it's so nice because it sets up everything, but you don't quite know what's. I mean, other than like knowing the trailer, like knowing the books beforehand, like you're like, I don't get why.
Yeah. No, like when I saw this movie, I had no idea anything about it. I knew it looked like fun, and I went and watched it.
I saw the trailer. I watched it. I was like, oh, this is so good. Then I read the comics, and I was like, oh my god, like okay. Then watching it again, I'm just kind of like, oh, like this is all really good. This was probably the best way they could have adapted it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But. And then they also break into a musical number, and it's like I love because like it establishes the world and also shows you that like everything is fair game and nothing is ruled out.
Exactly. Demon hipster chicks and
Demon
everything.
hipster chicks.
So, it's a good fight scene. Yeah. It's definitely. I think it shows off most of like just the vision that Edgar Wright had for this film, and I think because everything else is more or less little pieces of this is one hyper focused on this idea I had for the. Whereas this is, I feel like it encompasses everything.
Well, and some of the other ones aren't like straight one-on-one fights. Like this one's really one of the few that are like one-on-one only. Only the two of them.
Yeah, and there's the Roxy one where.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Where Ramona uses him like a rock and stock.
He's like, I can't hit a girl.
You're gonna have to.
and then Ramona fights her with the giant sledgehammer for
Yes.
It's like, oh, I totally forgot about that. That's a good one too.
There's a lot of good ones.
There's a lot of good fight scenes in that movie.
It's almost as though the movie's about him
fighting
a bunch
7
of people.
evil exes.
Your 7 evil ex-boyfriends?
No,
7 evil exes.
You keep saying that. Why?
So that is that's that. Does
That's
anyone have any negatives
that's
about
this
this one compared to the other ones? Or?
Not really, because in terms of like emotional things, this one doesn't need because it's establishing, and we already talked about that. That's kind of what it does best here.
Yeah.
I think it's not quite as big as some of the other fights.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a knock against it, because once again, it's the first one, and so you wouldn't expect him to come out of the gate with the biggest fight. So I don't really actually have any negatives.
It doesn't have the biggest, but it's far from my least favorite.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
This particular X isn't probably my favorite, but
he doesn't have much going for him other than being the establishing X.
Yeah. So, but I liked this.
And they also like work that into his backstory. She's like, yeah, he's the first boy I dated. Yeah.
He is. It was 7th grade.
Like, yeah, it's like, and it just like it works.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a good fight scene.
Yes, it is.
Very good fight scene.
Let's do Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
So let's define what a fight scene is in Jurassic Park.
Well, I would say because there aren't really people versus people. It's all going to be either people versus dinosaur or dinosaur versus dinosaur. I would say, let's see, what fight scenes stick out to me? I like, would we count the kitchen scene?
I don't think or we could, but I have some reasons why I wouldn't say it's great.
Because they are fighting. It's just not.
I found it as more of like a.
It's more of a tension.
It's more of like a thrilling suspense
sequence
rather than like
and it leads into.
That's true.
So yeah,
probably the closest thing to a dinosaur versus dinosaur
which is
fight. The T-Rex and
T-Rex versus
Raptors.
And
that's not even much of a versus. It's the T-Rex shows up and eats them.
Yeah.
But then you get that iconic shot there.
I do like the what's his name?
Sam Neill.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the character name. Anyway, Wayne Knight's.
Dennis Nedry.
Dennis. Dennis Nedry's with the
Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus is good.
That's pretty good. But also, would that really be a fight? Because that's basically just the Dilophosaurus just eating him.
Oh no, I mean it's a fight because he's like being aggressive towards them, and then they attack him. None of these are going to be like fists versus dinosaurs.
I know that. Someday we'll get a Turek the Dinosaur Hunter movie. Someday.
But
what about because the first thing that sticks out to me, like say Jurassic Park and fight, the first thing that sticks out to me is when the T-Rex break out of the paddock and it's Sam Neill there like staring them down with the flare, and that whole sequence to me sticks out as like a fight.
Like the Jeep, where it's chasing the Jeep and stuff.
Yeah, like the kids in the one Jeep, Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum in the other Jeep.
And they're basically running away.
Yeah,
and then
because the T-Rex is there trying to get the kids, and then Sam Neill's like, "Hey, over here," and then Jeff Goldblum's like, "Hey, I'm drunk. Run around."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think of if you say fight scene. It's that, then the T-Rex eating the raptors.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah. What do you guys think?
I think this is a hard one. I think that there's probably more to talk about and discuss with the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the two Jeeps.
Yes, no, definitely.
T-Rex and the two Jeeps.
Yeah.
I was just saying that's what I think of.
Yeah, but I think
definitely one of the more. That's more of the quintessential action sequence from this film.
There's a lot going on in this movie.
No, what would you guys say is?
I mean, like I said, I think the Dennis Nedry one was good. I think this one. I think I think the kitchen scene. It's both suspense and there's kind of there's that action angle.
There's some fight element to it.
I wouldn't necessarily want to talk about it here.
Yeah. So let's go with the T-Rex, two Jeeps.
The T-Rex Jeep.
Two Jeeps, one
chase.
T-Rex.
Yeah. We're just going to gloss over that.
Yeah.
I love this scene. I think from the very beginning, this one is the most, because you have the ripple.
Oh yeah,
and I think
build up and lead up to it.
The whole lead up to it, I think, is one of its biggest strengths.
Yeah.
And then you finally get the T-Rex, and you're like, oh my god.
Like, everything has gone wrong,
Yes.
and is only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And there's, they're running from the two Jeeps, and then on top of that, you have the lawyer who runs into the bathroom.
When you gotta go, you gotta
go. And then that's one of our first spectacular deaths in the movie. So he just gets eaten right off the toilet.
Spectacular is a way to describe that. This also, this has the T-Rex going through like the plexiglass roof of
the sunroof.
Oh yeah.
And turn the light off. Turn the light off.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
This is where I don't know if this is as much of a fight scene or if it is an action scene, and this is where it might suffer in this.
I mean, I would say it's a fight scene because they're fighting for their lives. Like I said, there's nothing where they can straight up attack the T-Rex.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a Kill Bill, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
No, for sure, but there's a lot more running away and survival to it than I would say that when we're talking about fights in other movies, even though this,
I think that's why I think mostly like the fight is mainly between the T-Rex and Alan Grant, because Alan Grant's like, I'm the dinosaur expert. I gotta do something because surely there's something I know. And he's there and he stares down the T-Rex with the flare and he tries to actually that's about as closest to fist punching
battle of
dinosaur
wits
we're
there.
gonna get.
If you want a more direct conflict kind of fight, we can talk about the dinner scene.
Well, no, I think that this
definitely
is still what we
more
should
verbal
talk about. But I just think that maybe in regards to other, in regards to this competition, not necessarily within its own film. I think this is probably the most iconic and closest thing you have to a true fight scene, but it might suffer because it's a lot of survival and action more so than it is.
I would still classify that as a fight though, because I think this is.
I'm not saying it's not a fight. I'm just saying comparatively to our other films.
I think probably one of the better comparisons I could make would be like the final fight in Predator. When it is a big Arnold is facing off against the Predator, but it is a big game of cat and mouse, running and hiding and seeking kind of thing. But he's still there fighting. Yeah, that off the top of my head, that's the best comparison I could make to.
I was saying I wouldn't necessarily say it's a knock that it's chase and something like that.
Yeah, I mean, not in regards to the rest of the movie, but when we're talking about
I'm saying in the competition, I don't think it's a knock because it's still like it's just a different kind of fight. Like if we talk about with Bull Durham, if we talk about a verbal exchange, that's also a different kind of fight.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't put that as a knock against that movie.
For sure. But,
So I don't think that's a knock against this movie.
I mean, you can vote however you want.
That's true.
Like we're just gonna. I don't know.
It's feeling a little passive aggressive in here.
We can disagree on that.
I just know who we're classifying like judgment rules or not.
No, I feel like everyone gets to. It's so subjective. Like,
Okay.
It's just.
It is very subjective. But is there anything else we want to? Because I feel like there is still like a very clear like somebody loses this, somebody comes out on top.
Oh no, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
It's
In this
really
case-
just can they escape?
Like yeah.
And then you even get like Jeff Goldblum's kind of heroic sacrifice, even though it's not really a sacrifice when he gets the flare and
No,
distracts him and runs away.
Except that does more harm than good because
Yeah.
he's drunk and Sam Neill's even like Ian freeze, but Ian's just like I'm over here, and then he gets his leg broken or
Well, he gets knocked into, and then his leg is like broken.
that.
Yeah.
And so there's
Scratched up.
a very clear scoreboard on that fight. Like the T-Rex has come out on top.
I'm shocked.
Shocked. Well, not that shocked. But yeah, I think I think this is it's a fight.
Oh no, definitely. I quite enjoy it. Like I said, this is definitely
it's probably
one
my
of the more-
favorite.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just even like the fear that you see in everyone because they're like, holy
Everyone.
shit,
Yeah.
how do we,
We're like, yeah,
yeah,
the ultimate predator.
yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to say about this?
I think I don't want to say that I think this is bad. Like I don't want
Yeah,
that
yeah,
to come
yeah.
across. Just Well,
No, I got you.
We'll get into it. I'm sure.
Like it isn't the same way I'm trying to justify myself with the Bill, like the
Yeah.
Kill Bill fight. It's like it's don't think I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just
It's
have
good. It's
I just
just
have a slightly dissenting opinion.
we eventually have to pick a winner.
That's true.
Yeah, but we still have 3 other movies. to
Three
talk
other
about.
movies to talk about.
I can't count.
Um,
So speaking of not being able to count, what's next?
Akira.
Sure, let's talk about Akira.
there
This
we go.
movie, I had
awesome.
never seen it before until
Neither
I watched
had
it
I,
for this, and it was definitely not what I thought it would be.
What did you think it was going to be?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
I don't know. It had the whole like vaporwave aesthetic with the futuristic, and then all I knew was they do a lot of cool motorcycle chase sequences,
that's
which
what I
there
was
were
gonna
some
say.
cool ones. And then past that, I wasn't expecting like body horror and like I was expecting like weird stuff to happen, but yeah, I was not expecting it to go where it went in the end. And I was just kind of like, wow, that was something.
For sure.
It was something.
Yeah, all I knew about it going in was that
definitely
it
need to see it
appeared
again.
in a lot of film essays talking about, how you light an animated movie and stuff like that, and like the cultural significance of Akira. But like, even then, it still shows like only the iconic shots of like Neo Tokyo and
Yeah.
the bike chases and
You don't see the giant body horror
yeah,
at the
and like that
body horror
and
blob at the end.
knowing that the poster is even just
It's
Canada.
Canada in front of a
the bike, and I knew it was Kanye West's favorite movie, and then it inspired like all the like artwork and music videos for his graduation album. So there's some cool stuff in there, but like none of that could prepare you for
Like,
No.
what happens.
yeah. As long as you guys liked it.
Oh, I
I'm
enjoyed it.
I'm happy. That's
Yeah.
all that matters
No, I liked
to me. But yeah, there are a number. There are.
I
a
feel like
number
you
of
could play a
things.
drinking game to
What?
anytime he says Tetsuo.
What kind?
Kaneda Tetsuo. That's a
What fight from this do we want to talk about?
that is the question.
Tetsuo fighting a satellite.
The one that immediately comes to mind is the end one.
That is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot
happening.
going on there. Because that is Tetsuo. That's Tetsuo versus the world, or the
Yes.
world versus Tetsuo. So yeah, we could. Yeah,
do
you want
that.
to talk about that?
Because I don't think there's as much going on with like the biker gang fight. That,
No.
you know,
Although I do love that biker gang fight between the capsules and the clowns at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that.
kind of almost bike jousting coming at
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
I do like that. But yeah, let's talk about the end fight. Where do we want to start with that one? Where do we want to say the fight starts?
I would say as soon as
because the whole like third act of that movie is
it's just one
big
big.
fight.
I would say as soon as they get to like the stadium,
and the satellite blows his arm off,
and then it starts like exploding out of his arm, and he starts growing, and then they have to fight.
I would say shot of him on like a pile of rubble, just building his arm, like with.
It's so good. I love this movie, so I'm gonna try to be objective.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, and then like have the other like experimental telepathic baby adults there, even them going against Tetsuo. You got Kaneda with his bike and laser against Tetsuo, and they destroy the bike. Yep. That's probably the saddest part of that movie.
It is.
Yeah, that shot of the bike just destroyed.
Not someone literally being crushed to death by a body horror mass.
No, it's the bike.
Because that's pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it starts out as like a one-on-one, and then very quickly becomes no one can fight this.
No, the only person that can fight it is Akira himself.
Yes, definitely a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, I think.
Yeah. I will,
except like not too much.
It builds up to it, so you can anticipate it.
You know Akira's there in the background, and there is all the talk of like, oh, this is the energy signature that Akira gave off. This is the energy we're getting now.
Yeah, it's definitely not one that like comes out of nowhere and you're like, where did this come from?
It's just kind of like,
it's just kind of like, oh look, this supreme power that defeated,
It took me power that caused all this devastation is now combating this, and oh hey look, a new universe has been born.
I will say, just to out myself here as being dumb, I got about 15, 20, 25 minutes into the movie before I realized that Kaneda was not Akira. I was like, oh, because everything ever leads me to believe that this guy, the one guy on the poster, the guy in all the promotional stuff.
No, I thought that too at the very beginning when they referred to him as Kaneda. I'm like, oh, so he's like Akira Kaneda or Kaneda Akira? Like, oh no, Akira's this completely
separate thing.
Different thing.
It's barely a character, but definitely a thing.
But yeah, okay. Should we get back to talking about the fight?
It's definitely the most expansive.
It is definitely the probably.
Were you going for that there? Were you just trying?
It's probably the biggest.
He literally expands.
He does. That's
he
true.
literally expands. It takes the most surface area.
Yes.
It takes the largest area.
Yeah.
It is literally the biggest fight out of all the ones that we have.
It's kind of terrifying.
I think. No. Oh yeah, it's horrific.
Because one, he's terrifying to look at, but then like when Kaneda gets stuck and like starts suffocating inside of it as he starts expanding.
And then even Tetsuo is like, I can't stop this. I don't want this. And it's like hard. Like he starts off, he's like, I'm more powerful than everybody. I can do everything. And he's like, oh wait, hang on, no, like, it's like it's gut wrenching.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Every time
it starts and you're like, oh, he's like mad with power now, and
good versus evil.
You're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, and then
it's like, oh no, this is.
He starts off, he's like. I didn't need your hand holding as a child, and now I'm more powerful than you. And then you're like, he's like, I can't control it. I don't want this. And you're like,
help me. And it's like, oh wait, that is still a child in there.
You're like, oh my.
I do like Kaneda's awesome laser rifle.
The laser rifle he just like picks up from some of the military people that have just gotten blown
away. Love it. It's awesome because he's just like he'll be like stuck in something, and then you'll see the laser shoot out of it, and then he'll like jump out.
Oh. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I will say this
also
is one of the
super anime.
Oh, but it's one of the advantages.
Don't say, Carter.
It's almost as though it's an iconic anime.
Say it's almost as if it was influential.
Yeah. Well, there is something to be said for like because it's animated, because it's very stylistic. It does get to do a lot more stuff than some of our other movies get to, and I think that's definitely a pro.
I mean, even look at the anime sequence in Kill Bill, like you talked about.
Yeah.
It definitely goes for it in some of the action parts, as with any anime, and so you kind of see that here, but it's on a much larger scale, and this is a much more, influential and significant anime.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
it's really good.
It's got emotional stakes.
It has some solid emotional stakes.
Once it's done, everything does feel complete.
I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't quite understand what had happened at the end, so I was kind of like, oh, it's over. But then, like, thinking on it and letting it stew and seeing it again, I'm like, oh no, like this is satisfying. This is complete.
Okay, surprisingly long movie.
Yeah,
for an animated movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be a satisfying because I felt like it I wasn't quite keeping up with exactly what was going on throughout the film.
No, that's fair.
And then you get to the end, and I was like, no, this actually tied up what I thought was very abstract up in a neat little bow, and it, you know.
It does a good job of being like, it is like an abstract movie that is also like comprehensible. So I really like that. But that's a totally different conversation.
I'm sure we might get to talk about it in future episodes.
Okay.
So we got 2 movies left?
Yep.
Yes.
Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. I was going to say alphabetical order, Bull Durham. So what fight do we want to go with here? So there's a handful of physical...
There are some physical altercations in the movie.
Here's my pitch.
Okay.
Can it be the manager of the baseball team of the Durham Bulls throwing a load of baseball bats into the shower?
The shower?
And yet calling... I know it's not
That's
going
not
to...
a fight. I'm going to disqualify that one.
Man versus bat? Not even a bat, just a baseball bat.
I like the first time they're on the diamond, and it's, you know, Tim Robbins keeps shaking off Kevin Costner's pitches, and then he literally has to be like, timeout, what the fuck are you doing?
But he walks back.
Yeah, walks back and tells the guy exactly.
I'm gonna throw it
what
right
he's
down the
gonna
middle for you.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, the most significant, I think, is when he finally, you know, Kevin Costner's drunk at the bar, and
there's finally like
a fight between him and Tim Robbins, and he punches him, and he's like, was that your left hand or your right arm?
Was that your left arm or your right arm? I think that is probably the fight I want to talk about the most.
That's the fight that's the first thing I think of if you say Bull Durham and fight.
Yeah.
That or Kevin Costner yelling at the umpire.
Yeah.
Oh, also
Yeah,
good.
also.
You want me to call you? Go ahead, call me. Okay, I'll call you. You can't call me. You're out of here. I'm like, what?
The no words.
More of a humorous fight, but yeah, in the billiards,
Yeah.
in the pool hall, that's the fight that I think of.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement that that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So I love this movie to death.
I do too.
It's a favorite of my father's, so he showed it to me at an early age, and it's become a favorite of mine since then. But like, it has the most emotional weight to it. I think that you see, you know, Crash Davis's whole story in this is he has to, you know, fight his jealousy that Nuke. I cannot.
Nuke
speak.
actually has talent. Yeah.
Nuke actually has talent, and that he's, you know, getting away with the girl he wants, and now at this point, he's getting to go to the major leagues, which, I mean, he's only gotten to do for 21 days at a time at one point in his career. And, you know, he sees this guy that he worked and put so much time and effort into getting everything that he wants. He's fed up with it. He tells him off, and he's going to leave it there, and he lets himself finally get punched by it. And I think the emotional weight and the payoff there for me is what drives that home. Because it's not much, but, you know.
Well, and what I love with this is it's definitely, I think, kind of the climax. Because what you see here is he's finally, like, Kevin Costner's finally at his lowest point. And this whole movie, you know, we're led to believe, because, you know, he's obviously our main character, and you follow him and his journey. And at this point, you know, up to this point, Tim Robbins has very much been like, oh, the asshole, the dumbass, doesn't know what he's doing. You know, he's dumb, but he's good at playing the game.
He's got a $1 million arm.
He's got a $1 million arm and a five-foot head. But at this point, you see, I mean, Kevin Costner's the instigator.
Yeah.
And he gets in the fight, so Kevin Costner's the one being stupid here. And you even after, you know, Nuke punches him, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to punch you. Like, I didn't mean for it to get to this. And so he's in this moment acting like the bigger man.
Yeah.
And so you see that kind of role.
Crash is like, I deserve that.
Yeah, you see that role reversal, because up until this point, Crash has very much been like, you know, you're all acting like kids, like you don't know what you're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you get, you know, we've talked about it a couple different times just sitting here, even before we were recording. But, you know, did you hit me with your left arm or your right arm? And he's like, I don't know why. He's like, did you hit me with your left arm or your right arm? My left arm. Good. Never punch a drunk with your pitching arm.
Yeah.
Can't keep giving you these lessons for free. And
Right, what do you think?
I'd never seen Bull Durham before. I'd heard a lot of people say, like, it's one of the best sports movies of all time. It's probably the best baseball movie of all time. And I was kind of like, a baseball movie with Kevin Costner that's better than Field of Dreams? I don't think so.
Yes.
And so I've like seen all these, and I watched it. I was like, okay, that was good. I don't necessarily see what all the hype is about. It was good. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. But I was just kind of like, oh, like it ended. I was like, okay, that was a good movie. I think I personally like Field of Dreams more, but they are also two very, very different movies.
Yeah.
One is much more about the love of baseball, and the other one's about the magic people that play baseball.
Yeah, and so I feel like that's why it's kind of like people were like, oh yeah, Bull Durham's so much better than Field of Dreams. I'm like, or people are like, Field of Dreams so much better than Bull Durham. I was like, I feel like you can't really compare the two because in both of them, like baseball kind of takes a backseat to what's going on. But the fight, like the whole time I was just kind of like a little annoyed with Crash. I was just kind of like, okay, and then this finally happens, and I'm like, okay, well, he's finally getting it all out there. I can finally see why this character is the way that he is, and he's all depressed and all that. But then, like, immediately after that, like, then he gets fired, and I was like, oh no, that's so sad. But then, like, immediately after that, he gets to go home to Annie Savoy, and they have their whole sex montage that feels like it came right out of Deadpool, almost. And then he leaves. And it's like, oh no. Then he comes back and it's like, oh, okay. I felt like, to me personally, I felt like overall the movie had some pacing issues. But talking about the fight on its own, it was finally nice to finally see like what's been eaten at Crash. But I was kind of like, okay, this is nice. But how did Crash get to the majors? What happened? What was all that? Like, I would have liked to know more about Crash to be like fully invested.
For sure.
In that, and so I feel like I would have, again, this is totally subjective, but I feel like I would have felt the payoff from that a whole lot more if I got to like know more about Crash. Like I could, like you can piece it together about him, like, oh, he probably got kicked out due to his temper and everything, which you see with the Empire. But you guys know me, I'm all about like face value, just like tell me what's going on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Kind of thing. Yeah. But like again, like I do.
Yeah, I think that there's I think Crash Davis is summed up in one of his first lines when he just says, "I'm too old for this shit."
Yeah.
He's, even though like later in Lethal Weapon, that becomes.
Interestingly enough, I thought it was funny that I was reading about it. At the time, I mean, Kevin Costner is supposed to play this much older, more grizzled player. He's only 3 years older than Tim Robbins.
Yeah, that's part of what I was kind of like. I'm too old for this. I'm like,
but you say that, but we are talking about.
We're talking about baseball, where a
career is over in 36 years.
Career is over.
Not,
pretty quick.
You don't have old guys playing baseball.
That's true.
There's
That's
not even middle-aged people playing baseball anymore. If you're still playing in your 40, you're going to be a manager in 2 years.
I'm just thinking, like, if Tim Robbins had been like early 20s.
Yes, it would have been more realistic.
If Costner had been, early 30s, it definitely would have had more of that. You don't know what you're talking about, kid, kind of thing.
But I mean,
that's just more of a fun tidbit.
Yeah, that's a tidbit that probably comes down to if you want to make this baseball character piece, you got to have some up and coming names to attach to.
You got to have good actors, and they definitely knocked out.
I felt like Kevin Costner was actually a little like
2 of their first big roles.
I felt like because when Kevin Costner comes in there, he's like, I'm too old for this shit. And he's just kind of like, fuck this fucking bullshit. I was like, do we want to try that again, or is that the take we're going to take there, Kevin? But anyway, we're not.
I think most of that's just because he doesn't really mean it,
I don't know. The whole time I thought he was just kind of like, I don't know. I could see him.
I see what you're saying because I feel like every other time I watch it, that scene reads differently to me. So when we watched it today before we recorded, I was like, I felt it more. But other times I'm like, really, Kevin?
A lot of the times when he was reading his lines, I was kind of like, I feel like we could have tried another take on these, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about.
So I think that while this fight doesn't have the choreography of the Crazy 88,
it definitely has the most emotional impactfulness.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Emotionally, this fight, maybe the only one that gives it really a run for its money is Acura, which is, it's 2 different kinds of emotional payoff there.
Yeah.
One is, much larger scale, but this is not a large scale movie.
No. This is a small ensemble drama.
Yeah. The only thing that doesn't make it stand out to me as much as just, I said it before, it's just not being as invested in these characters, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, Eddie Nuke Lelouch, whatever, like, yeah, he's great, and like we've seen him grow a little bit over the movie, but it's kind of like, okay. And so then like you say like he's the bigger person. I was like, no, I felt like he's kind of the same. Like he would apologize for punching this guy who's his friend when he knows that he's drunk. And again, like I already said, kind of like I would have cared more about like Crash kind of breaking down if I'd gotten to know Crash better.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is probably a lot more subjective because
Yeah.
you guys love it, you think it's great. I thought it was nice and good, but again, I wish I could have gotten a little more about them and been a little more invested in them. So then the payoff could have been like, could have hit me a lot harder.
Yeah. I will say that this is definitely a movie that grew on me over the years, as opposed to something that I watched and was immediately like, this movie.
Yeah, like.
So, the more I feel like I've grown and understand more about Crash and Nuke and Annie, like
I've always loved him. What's wrong with y'all? It's got the greatest speech in cinematic
Oh,
history.
so good.
But hopefully we'll talk about that sometime.
No, the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise was not told until Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith, which was a long time after 1988.
I don't know if I'd call it a speech.
I think But we also talked about the Independence Day speech.
Independence Day speech was
We were
also
talking about
up
this-
there. We were talking about this earlier, like what we think the best cinematic speeches are, and I was like, my two favorite cinematic speeches of all time are the Independence Day speech and the Bull Durham speech.
You also have the speech from Miracle.
Speech from
It's
Miracle's
also
pretty
very-
good.
Pretty good.
The,
but I'd say both of those are better.
The Cerulean speech from The Devil Wears Prada, I said was pretty good. I don't know.
I'm not familiar with that one. Anywho.
We'll make you familiar now.
Maybe next season.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Ideas. Let's talk about LA Confidential.
Yes. Our last film.
Our last one to talk about today. What fight are we going to go with in LA Confidential?
I don't know.
I think the Christmas Eve brawl, or what are they?
The Christmas Eve Massacre?
Yeah. Or not massacre. That's the one, the jail cell fight.
The jail cell. Where they're fighting. Not
Everyone's-
not in the coffee shop.
Not in the coffee.
Yeah.
No, that's the Night Owl.
Yeah. The Night Owl.
Because
Massacre.
you don't
Yeah.
see the Night Owl Massacre.
No. Exactly. That's what I was saying. We don't see it, so I was like, that's going to be hard to talk about.
No, I'm talking about the Christmas.
When they all start fighting. In
Yes.
Like Jailhouse Madness or
Jailhouse
something.
Madness or something. Yeah.
They've got a name for it.
There's
Yeah.
that.
They have the headline. There's the final shootout.
Really, that and the final
Yeah.
shootout are kind of the two that stick out to me.
Yeah.
This one also doesn't have as much fight. It's more. This is much more of a noir.
Bloody
intrigue.
Christmas case.
Bloody Christmas.
Bloody Christmas.
Yeah.
Case.
That's
Movie
the one
premiere
that,
Pop Bus.
the one that compels that Preston Exley decides to testify against his fellow cops in.
Yeah.
Edley.
Yeah.
Edmund
Ed
Edley.
Exley. Yeah.
Yeah. Preston was his father.
You're right. I'm reading a plot summary to find the name of the. I was like, you're right.
So he's cheating. Has Robbie ever seen this movie?
No, I didn't recommend it a few weeks
seen
ago.
any of these movies.
But let's. So that or the final shootout, I think, are your
What are
two.
we going to talk about?
I think the final shootout sticks out to me the most out of any of the fights in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for me too.
I think it goes that one when Bud and Exley fight after he sees those pictures.
Not Bud and Bracken.
No.
I just like the deleted scene where Danny DeVito kicks everyone's ass.
Oh yes. Poor Danny DeVito. He really got the short end of the stick in this movie.
A lot of people got the short end of the stick in this movie.
Oh my god. So when I first watched this movie, I didn't really know what to expect other than like LA noir kind of vibes, which there are definitely plenty of.
Yes.
But holy shit, when Kevin Spacey dies, I was like, where did that come from?
I had actually had that spoiled for me because I was just bumming around online one day and there was something about like, most unexpected movie deaths. I was kind of like, sure. And then I saw it, there was just like a thumbnail of Kevin Spacey just there with a hole in his chest. And I was like, I guess he dies in that movie. Oh. And so far to this day, that's the only thing I've known about LA Confidential.
Kevin Spacey
dies.
And that it is unexpected.
Yeah.
Wasn't expected. And so so all throughout the movie I was like, oh, he's gonna get it now. Oh, but what about no?
Well, as you can see in the movie, it's quite sudden.
It is pretty sudden. Except like I could kind of tell it was coming like when things were finally starting to come together. I was kind of like, oh, he's gonna get it. Oh, the police captain's in on it. Oh, he is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So let's talk about
Where
that
should we
final gunfight.
Yes.
Yeah, final shootout. This one to me, it definitely, I think, is the most kind of cookie cutter. This one is very much a third act shootout. Like, oh, that's, this is the end.
This movie was gonna end with a shootout. Here it is. Okay, I can understand that.
I do like, it's finally, Exley and Bud coming together, having each other's back.
That's what I would say that
finish
this has a strength to it.
Yeah.
Is that finally you get a team up between these two guys that have are both the good guys in a sense.
And then it also,
have been at odds the entire time.
But then it also has that major character payoff at the very end when Exley shoots Captain Smith in the back, and it's like, oh, he did it.
He did it.
He realized what he had to do, and I remember thinking, I was like, oh man. I actually got so invested in this movie that as we were watching it, I looked at Wikipedia to see who lived at the end.
No.
I didn't read the whole synopsis. I just scrolled to the very end, and I saw there was the line. It's like, oh, in the very last paragraph, it's like, oh, Exley and White shake hands. I was like, okay, good, they live.
Oh no.
That's how invested I got in these characters, and that's how much I liked this movie. I was kind of like, okay, but then as the shootout was happening, and you see Russell Crowe get shot in the face, I was like, did Wikipedia lie to me? I was like, no, Russell Crowe's dead. What the? Oh no, he's alive. And so even then, it's like that's how you know the movie's got good twists and turns when you know what happens, but you still don't believe that's what happened.
I'd like to think that Bud White in this movie grows up to become Russell Crowe in The Nice Guys.
That's exactly what I thought.
20 years later. That's why
there's just enough time.
Yeah, that's why he's so grizzled and doesn't really give a shit about anything.
That would make, except you'd have to figure out when he moves back to L.A.
I mean,
anytime.
20 years is a long time.
We'll get the middle movie in that trilogy eventually.
It's just a sad tale of
Bracken dying and
Bracken leaving him or
something,
and then Bud White just being out in Arizona.
Moves back to L.A. becomes a PI. Oh, I'm sad.
Oh,
I don't want to think about that. But anyway, it is pretty cookie cutter. But I think the real I still think it was even for a cookie cutter shootout, I still think it was really good.
Yeah.
Just the two guys against
it doesn't
literally
need anything more
the
than
entire LAPD.
And this one, like I said, this one doesn't necessarily need to be hyper choreographed like anything else. But yeah, no, you're kind of like when you're watching it, it's real tense, and you're kind of counting shots because they're trying to lose bullets, and you're like, oh my god, who has a gun, who doesn't, who has bullets, who doesn't, how many people are still outside. And like you said, you were so anxious, you don't know if they're going to survive or not.
And just when it started, when they're there, he's like, okay, what's going on? He's like, no, you called me.
You called me.
And then you see the headlights turn off in the background, and then just that whole 30 seconds of them just looking around, you just seeing all the headlights coming on and pulling up and turning off. I remember I was kind of I'm legitimately terrified right now. Oh no, these poor guys.
Well, it's something that, because of how the rest of the film is, like you said, you're not sure if anyone's safe because Kevin Spacey unexpectedly dies in this movie, and you're like, if you were just to tell me who the three main people were in this movie, I'd be like, oh, well, they all make it out to the end. And you're like, but no. So it very easily could have ended tragically for any of them.
And so I think the tension and the character payoff is what really makes this a really, really good fight scene.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any negatives there other than it being cookie cutter? I think that's just probably my biggest knock for it is
I do. Yeah, I think the moment, to me, where some of these other ones are big moments for everyone, this fight it ultimately comes to Exley in the moment when he shoots the captain, and so it's finally him realizing this is what has to be done, and that's his big character moment. And I feel like the whole fight, while it is cool, it ultimately just is there to lead to that moment. And it's not to say that another fight couldn't have led to that moment, kind of thing.
That's why the other fight that sticks out in my mind is when Bud and Exley tussle in the office, because then it's really them.
Yeah. Because this one, this whole entire end sequence, I think, kind of is meant to show you that this is the point, this is the dire circumstance in which Exley realizes this is what has to be done.
This is also how messed up
the world is.
Is that they're going to literally kill Not just like one, but potentially 3 of their own.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I'm like, that's why I say cookie cutter. Like it's not necessarily.
It's not hyper stylized.
Yeah, well, and it's just one of those things where it's like, where it's like when the fact that it leads to that moment, and that moment could have been achieved another way, or the fight itself could have included more emotion for either Bud or something like that, because Bud doesn't really get an emotional payoff other than that he survives and then lives happily ever after.
Until the nice guys.
Until the nice guys, apparently. But, and so for that to be your other, like, co-lead, essentially, that he doesn't get, really, really a bigger payoff than he kind of lives happily ever after.
Yeah. Well, those are our movies.
Yeah,
Or do you have another point?
I was going to say, like, talking about, like, this payoff could have come anywhere else. Like, I feel like you could also kind of say the same thing with Bull Durham to an extent, where, like, they could have had this fight at, like, any other point. Like, even when they were, like, out on the mountain, like, Nuke could be like, why are you always on my back? Why are you always messing with me, old man? And he,
The difference there, I think, is that because of the call-up to the majors is, like, for Nuke is the big thing there. Like, that's the only time that really could have happened.
Well, I think, but the fight could have happened differently. It didn't necessarily have to happen at a bar, and it could have been something else.
Like, there were a lot of other moments where they were, like, butting heads where, like, that could have happened.
And it could have happened differently, but you would have had the same result. So I agree with that. I would also put as a knock against that. Yeah. That part in Bull Durham. I agree. That is consistent.
Yeah. But that's about all. Yeah. That's all she wrote.
That's all that has to say.
Those
Shall we
our movies.
Get to voting?
I guess
we should. We should.
I'm scared.
Winners of the week?
What winners of the week?
Wait, Robbie, you go first.
Both of you looked at me as if I was ready. And I need to... So, just to round out and make sure that we all... Kill Bill, we're talking about the Crazy 88.
Yep.
Bull Durham, we were talking about the bar fight. With, which hand did you punch me with?
Yeah.
LA Confidential, the final shootout. Jurassic Park, T-Rex versus 2 Jeeps. And everyone inside of them.
Yep.
I want to see that movie where it's just 2... Not anthropomorphic Jeeps, but like 2 like maximum overdrive Jeeps fighting a T-Rex.
There we go.
I want to see that.
Transformers.
I want to see... No, not Transformers.
No.
Because that would just be dumb.
Oh.
Acura, which is the final
fight
between Tetsuo and the
everybody
world.
in body horror Tetsuo.
Scott Pilgrim versus Matthew Patel.
Matthew Patel. The first evil
Pilgrim.
I'm real caught here between, I think I have a solid top 3, but I think my winner's got to be Scott Pilgrim versus the world this week. Okay. I think we just had so much praise for it. It does exactly what it needs to do. It's super stylized, it's a lot of fun, and it also establishes the world that, at least with these fights, it establishes that world. Because you get a world established first, and then you get the crazy wrench that's thrown into Scott Pilgrim's perfect low life. Which is
which he knew was gonna he was tangentially aware of it.
He got
emails saying they were gonna fight.
Yeah,
I skimmed it. How do you skim that and miss that you're gonna fight?
This is boring. Delete.
Yeah,
so, that's my winner this week.
Yeah, I was going back and forth between Scott Pilgrim and Akira. Since you said Scott Pilgrim, I'll say Akira because I kind of love them both. And Akira was more of a... Because Scott Pilgrim, I already knew I loved that fight, but over the course of our discussion, I realized how much more I appreciated the Akira fight and kind of the emotion of it and the culmination of it. And then just the sheer scale is so impressive. Yeah. So that one's definitely my winner this week.
I'm gonna say Akira as well because like almost exactly like verbatim what Carter said. Like I knew I liked Scott Pilgrim, I knew I liked this one, but then just like talking about it and really realizing just how big it was and how impactful and really important it is. It's a damn good fight scene.
It is. It's like I said, I had a solid top 3, and that was a hard pick there, but I think it was probably my number 2 there. So. Now it comes time to choose a loser.
Which is much harder now because we're already short,
2 movies.
And so it's already, and they're all good. So this is even harder.
All good.
I think we can all be in agreement that we don't dislike anything out of any, like all of these fights are good.
Yes. Yeah. All of these movies are good. All these fights are good.
It's just which ones do we like a little bit better.
Episode 1 of the season, we have to start doing our like episode 4 stuff of, oh my gosh, this is so hard.
I mean, Every time we started a season, I've already been at like episode 8 levels of tension whenever we vote off a movie.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's even crazier when you realize this week's a triple elimination. We're only doing 3 episodes.
Nani? Oh, that is news.
So I'm gonna.
No, it's fine.
Oh God, don't.
I know what I'm gonna have to go with, and
Okay.
that is, when I think of everything in here has some kind of emotional payoff, something that really establishes something, and I just don't think that Jurassic Park pulls off as much as the other fights do. And that's not. I'm not even saying because I don't think it's as much of a fight, because I think that there's some pretty wimpy excuses for a fight listed in here, and namely Bull Durham. But I think that the emotional payoff there outweighs Jurassic Park, which is what I think is closer to a cool horror sequence or action sequence with survival moments. And you brought up a good point about Predator. I just don't think that this is as much of a fight as it is a chase or an action sequence, and it doesn't have the same kind of payoff as some of these other things for me. So because of that, I got to vote off Jurassic Park. It makes me sad because I love this movie. We'll see what happens.
That's fair.
All right.
Oh no.
I reasoned this. I'm curious now if we all say 3 different movies, what we do.
What do we do?
I reasoned this in a very bizarre fashion.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see if we have to bring in an impartial 4th judge.
But then we still might only split the vote.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Well, if we because. Well, yeah, that's true. We'll end up saying what happens.
Or we can end up with some kind of simple majority.
Let's finish the voting.
So here's where I'm at. You were talking about emotional payoff, and I was also thinking about emotional payoff. And my bottom 3 were Jurassic Park, LA Confidential, and Kill Bill. And where I'm at with this is that Kill Bill is very cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really have any kind of emotion with it, other than it just looks really cool.
Other than the emotion of pure revenge card.
Sure. LA Confidential, like we talked about, doesn't have that much emotion, but it does ultimately build to perhaps the biggest, most profound moment for our main character.
Yes.
And so I think that one is kind of safe for me, just because it is most significant. Then I come to Jurassic Park and Kill Bill. And the thing with Jurassic Park, or I disagree with you, is it has emotional stakes, it's just a different emotion. To me, when I watch that sequence in Jurassic Park, when it's over and they survive, I'm almost physically exhausted. It takes such a toll because you're on the edge of your seat, the tension of it, the excitement of it, wondering, I've seen this movie a million times, so I know where it goes. But it's still, even when you're in the moment and you're invested, you're like, what's going to happen next? Kind of, there's a little bit of that going on, and it's where is this going? What's going to happen next? Are these people going to make it? And you don't have that with Kill Bill, because Kill Bill, she's going to survive, because that's the whole point of the movie. You've already seen the end at the beginning, so she's going to be fine. It's just going to be a cool fight. And so even though this is perhaps our most extreme fight, I'm going to vote off Kill Bill this week.
Wow. I think the Kill Bill fight is more extreme than Akira.
Oh, that's true. Well, I'd say, realistic.
They're very different.
People, yeah, they're different.
Neither of them are very realistic.
No, neither of them. This one's
the scene where she totally chops a guy clean in half. Oh, yeah,
what?
that's totally realistic.
Yeah.
Jumps 50 feet in the air to jump on another guy's shoulders to then chop that guy in half.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I came into this thinking I was probably going to vote off Bull Durham, but then over the course of conversation and everything, I realized, no, there's it doesn't have to be a Scott Pilgrim, Kill Bill, Akira level stylized fight, and there's that emotional payoff, and even though I wasn't super invested in them, I do recognize what it's supposed to mean and what that is supposed to be. And so then start thinking about payoffs and that kind of stuff, and I think I do kind of have to vote for Kill Bill.
Really?
Just because even though it is a super cool fight, taking it with the way we were talking about things, each fight, we were talking about the payoff and the fight itself.
Yeah.
and looking at everything, like, it did kind of come down to Jurassic Park and Kill Bill for me
Yeah.
as well. But for Jurassic Park, it was like, there's that payoff of kind of like, okay, we are kind of doomed, like the dinosaurs, the inmates are running the asylum, so to speak.
Yeah.
And this kind of thing, like Jeff Goldblum's like, oh, all my fears that I was talking about, no one was listening to me,
Yeah.
is happening. And so it's like, okay, it's like, we're screwed. How are we going to get out of this? Whereas Kill Bill, you know, she's okay. And it's like, it ends with like, okay, like, she's fine. And you know, she's going to be fine. Well, it is a cool fight. Like,
Also,
there is that.
Sorry.
I was just going to, like, so ultimately it's like, you know, she's going to be okay. And while it is cool, it is definitely a little more style over substance in this case.
Yeah. Also, I was going to say with Jurassic Park is that I should have brought this up earlier, but
Holding out on us.
no. But what it just came to me in this moment you talking about it, but that this scene is also very similar to the Scott Pilgrim one in that it's perhaps one of the biggest fight action scenes in the movie, but it's also like the first big one. It's the one that makes everyone go, "Oh no." Because like the rejoicing moment of the film is when Alan Grant sees the Stegosaurus and it's this very triumphant this miracle has been made, this is amazing, and then this is the oh no this is bad, this is very bad, don't do this.
Dinosaurs are a bad thing.
Yeah, and so that kind of and then after it's done you go, well, where does it go?
Yeah,
because the T-Rex is still out there. They're also velociraptors. You're like, where does this go from here?
Right.
And I think that's a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
So, goodbye,
So-
Kill Bill.
We're gonna get shit for this.
Oh, yes.
bring it on.
This is almost like Lord of the
Bring it
Rings.
I think this is worse than Lord of the Rings.
This is like...
The one true fight movie. I guess we have Scott Pilgrim, but like
Yeah.
the kung fu movie loses best fight.
We're
We're an eclectic.
We're subversive.
we're a subversive podcast.
We're deconstructing what you think you know about film.
We're deconstructing the genre.
But yeah,
Subverting
You can't say
expectations.
we're not original because it's definitely
We are thought provoking.
we are thought provoking. I think as long as
Freaking nowhere.
we're
I'm sticking to my guns on
yeah,
that.
No,
I
I-
have to.
If
You guys
if
make good
people are
points.
unhappy,
I disagree with your points, but
I know,
it's
that's totally
okay.
fair.
Yeah,
But say,
no,
like, we're gonna get so much. I'm just kind of like, bring it on.
As
like,
long as we're yeah.
you
As long
guys
as
make
we're
good points.
facilitating conversation.
it's not like we're doing this for like shock value. Be like,
Yeah,
ooh, we
no.
voted off Kill Bill.
I
Look
think
how
we all
edgy
reasoned it
we
out
are.
pretty
Like,
well.
No,
yeah,
you guys
we-
have your reasons.
yeah,
I
we-
think that the style and that makes it,
No, yeah, and like,
exactly what it
that's-
is. But
like, that's totally fair.
hey, that's the episode.
This is the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. The Fracas is complete with best Fracas.
Best
Frick,
fracas.
fracas.
Let's
do our-
let's
let's do
move
our-
this along.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at CASpilliers, like spill something in your yard and add an S. My recommendation this week will be, I wish I had thought about this at a time. Ooh, I know what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend The Player, which is a film
we watched
we
this.
just watched. I just got it off the Criterion Collection. Ooh. I know they're having a big sale. So I picked it up. It was a recommended from me by Phoenix. Shout out to former member of the podcast,
Now, friend of the podcast.
friend of the
Friend of
podcast,
the podcast.
former host Phoenix Sorolla.
Still on the logo. He's the one
Parties
of the farthest
in the-
right.
Another great. We never really identified who was who on the logo. That's fine.
I think it would.
From just our disembodied voices.
Yeah.
I mean, they can find us all on Twitter.
And also,
That's true.
yeah, like
That's true.
we've given out our social media
That's
handles.
true. You're not wrong. Anywho, yeah, it's what the film is it's a satire of Hollywood and the Hollywood system, and it also stars Tim Robbins.
I love
Great
Real
Tim
Season.
Robbins.
And so yeah, great performance from Tim Robbins. And it's basically about he's getting these postcards from a disgruntled writer. He's a producer, and he's getting these postcards from a disgruntled writer threatening to kill him, and he basically has to kind of deal with that, and it gets crazier from there.
It does.
And then it ends in one of the most meta endings I've ever seen.
And it's like you can draw similarities to Hail Caesar from it.
Yes.
Some.
Yes.
Some. Not a lot, but some.
This one's an Altman.
Yes, it is. It is an alt.
An influence on the Coen brothers.
I was going to say a significant influence on the Coen brothers, so it's definitely there. That'd be an interesting double feature.
That would be an interesting double feature. Find me on Twitter and Snapchat at BRETTJHNSN number 1. I'm going to get back to posting my movie reviews when this comes out. I'm going to get back on that train of it because I've been taking a hiatus because I've been losing my mind. My recommendation this week is going to be the anime film Paprika, which was a very, very heavy influence for Christopher Nolan's Inception. It's this anime film about these scientists come up with this device that lets you like go into people's dreams and see what's going on. But somebody steals this device and manages to like use the dreams to like start like killing people and like bending reality, and so then you never quite know like what's real, what's a dream, and it looks fantastic. It's got some, it's really good. And so if you guys like Akira, you might like Paprika. So that's good. That's my recommendation for the week.
All right. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Robbie_DShazer. Seriously, go follow me on those places. When this comes out a week from now, I will be in Universal and Disney World, and I'll be doing some live video stuff from there. And so that'll be fun. You guys can come watch me have a fun time on my vacation. My recommendation this week, I was going to do something, because Carter, I had never watched any of the Mission Impossible movies. Mm-hmm. And so Carter and I watched all of the Mission Impossible movies this weekend. And I was going to do a thing where we had 6 weeks of episodes. I was going to do every week just recommend in order the Mission Impossible movies. I can't do that. No. It'd be mean to you guys. I wouldn't give you. So instead, I'll recommend my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies so far, and that is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Go watch it. It's a fun time. Mm-hmm. The first one with Jeremy Renner in it. So it's good. It's good. But other than that, this has been a great, exciting episode of Film Fracas. The first of a brand new season.
Twists and turns and
lots of stuff.
First, I'm looking forward to it because the season only gets harder from here.
Yep. Yeah.
Because these are already all good movies.
We're almost down to our final 4, and this is episode 1.
Yep. I want to make a quick clarification. On the last bonus episode, I had recommended Gravity Falls, and you guys thought I had recommended it before. So I went back through all of our previous episodes to look at what we recommended. I had not recommended Gravity Falls before.
I'm sure you've talked about liking it.
Maybe. I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Not on the podcast. To you guys.
Maybe just to us.
To everybody who will listen, but not on the podcast. But yeah, I now have a list of everything we have ever recommended and everything our special guests and Phoenix have ever recommended.
Could you send that to me?
Yes, I could do that.
Yeah.
Is that including our recommendation episode?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, wow.
It's
even 5 less.
Also, yes, go listen to that if you haven't. Listen to our bonus episodes. I swear, they're fun. We tried some new stuff.
They're nice. They're relaxing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quick,
enjoy a good scotch and
bite-sized episodes of Film Fracas.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us here. And so thank you for listening. Tune in next time. And we'll be back with another hot take.
There we go.
Bye-bye.
You can't do that now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Film Fracas. We know there are a lot of shows out there on the web, and we are so glad you took the time to listen to ours. Thank you to Brett Johnson and Carter Spilliards for helping to write and produce each episode. Please consider giving us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. It really does help get the word out. You can follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Film Fracas. Once again, thanks for listening, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.